Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures,
the podcast that fuels your passion for obstacle course racing, running, and adventure.
Since 2017, we have released weekly episodes for the seasoned pros,
weekend warriors, and everything in between.
We discuss the industry news, travel for live coverage,
and interview athletes and key voices in the athletic community.
We cover it all, from fundraising events, personal trials,
to world records, FKTs, and world championships.
Standing on the corner.
Now let's get started with your hosts.
Lost all my clothes.
Michael Stefano and Caitlin Ritter.
Hey guys, it's Michael Stefano.
And Caitlin Ritter.
And Caitlin, how was your weekend?
Well, I woke up this morning to you saying, Caitlin, we have a problem.
Oh, that's not how you woke up. You let her out, and one of the times you woke up.
The last time I woke up.
Yes. Didn't know that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, Lucy, it's too cold for Lucy to go to the bathroom outside, or so she thinks, and so she did it in her crate. And she was barking like crazy, and we usually, crate training her, we, ignore it, put it on extinction, and she just kept barking, and then eventually I waited for her to quiet down, then I opened it, and was hit by a really bad smell. Really bad.
Poor baby.
Yeah, not the worst that room has smelled. But it's up there.
Yeah. But yesterday we went to an ice mosaic thing, and it was super cool. People,
like a fire dancer, hot chocolate, expensive s'mores.
The most expensive. We could have made we could have bought a full-size kit of s'mores for that price, but it's okay.
It was a good time. Yeah.
It's the experience. How was your weekend?
Pretty good. Did all the same things that you did, so... Is that? Let's give a shout out. Oh, also, the Superb Owl is going to be happening after this, too.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, well, maybe it's because it's written in our show notes. Okay, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Since you can continue to forget to change that word, I put a synonym that was less offensive.
Shout out Mudgear. Use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your next Mudgear purchase, and use code OCRReport20 for 20% off your next category purchase or your next Spartan Deca or Tough Mudder event.
Nice. We're going to shout out the $5+ Patreon supporters.
Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Laura and Stephen Ritter, Hank and Arlene Stefano, Cheryl Miller, Jessica Johnson, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Evan Irick, Brent George, Logan Nagel, Seth Rinderknecht, Steve Bacon, Robert Landman, and Jules Estes.
Yes, thank you guys so much for the support. We greatly appreciate it. As well as to the OCR Report for being a great home for us on the internet.
And to Billy Hicks.
The Podfather. Check it out over at theocrreport.com. They're talking about curling now, I think. They're all big into the Olympic stuff. Yeah. And to our sponsored athletes.
Javier Escobar, Kelly Sullivan, Ryan Brizolara, Joshua Reed, Kevin Gregory.
Poll results. I don't think we did a poll this week,
did we? Did not.
No. I think we're also going to skip Meme of the Week, but we do have a Badass of the Week. Caitlin, you sent this to me.
Okay, our badasses of the week are these witches traded their broomsticks for skis. Every January, skiers in Switzerland, Balap mountain region arrive dressed as witches for the Balap Hex, a downhill race inspired by local legends about women accused of witchcraft centuries ago. It says, depending on the tellings, the witches was blamed for everything from magical mischief, forbidden affairs, and ultimately executed, making her one of the earliest women accused of witching during Switzerland's witch trials.
Yeah, so thought that was interesting. More of a news story, but we didn't have any other badasses.
I did have a badass.
Oh, well, you never put in the notes.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know it was something that had to go in the notes. I thought it was I surprised you last week.
Well, okay. Next time put it in the notes so we know what to talk about. Quick news. We have the New England OCR Expo, which I've been meaning to shout out more often. It's going to be happening on March 28th. I know that because it's the same day as two other events I wanted to go to. But we will be at the New England OCR Expo. Also, for complete transparency, I'm also on the board for it. But there's going to be a DECA Strong, a kids course, 100-meter course, as well as a whole bunch of vendors and everything. We put a lot of effort into it, so looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. Also, for those that are registered, you get a free Spartan race, which is pretty sweet, so it's definitely worth it to come out there. This is going to be in West Boylston, Massachusetts.
CrossFit Dartmouth owner Justin Culho said a connection that started at Dartmouth High School has grown into a new partnership with the Massachusetts Special Olympics that could become a nationwide model for inclusive fitness programs. Capello, the gym owner, recently floated out the idea of having CrossFit Dartmouth help with piloting Fitness for Life, an exercise program connected to the Special Olympics. The CrossFit Dartmouth owner, coaches, and community jumped on the chance, and they are only the second gym in the United States chosen to pilot the program, working directly with the Massachusetts Special Olympics.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I love that.
Next up, we previously had an episode with Christian Brown Johnson about his 50-77 challenge, but Michael Wardian has already beat that record. He closes out the 50K on all continents in 7 consecutive days, but since he started the last day early, he was able to get that record. So we have a news story to that, as well as Christian Brown Johnson's response to it, which I thought was pretty well said. And that's all we really have for news. It's usually tougher in the winter. If you're listening and you have other news stories, how about you send them in? That'd be great. We've had people over the years do that. We don't have as many people lately doing that. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's more people to shout out because I can only see what I see. And I'm trying to spend less time on social media, ideally. 5 secret links down below, but let's get to what this episode is all about. So I try to help highlight other OCR podcasts every year during the roundtable discussion, but in order to keep down the chaos of double the guests, I usually just have one host of each show, including my own, which Caitlin constantly
complains about. Which is so rude.
Yeah. Due to this, co-hosts like OFX's Bethany McChesney don't get the attention that they deserve. So we had her on to talk more in depth about her athletic background, her thoughts on both OCR and hybrid racing, her gym Fitfarm, upcoming Little Loop Ultra that she's putting on, the OFX podcast, which is still going strong along with Dave Claxton, and much more. So here's my obligatory alliteration introduction. Now on to the Canadian calisthenics queen, Bethany McChesney.
Always do an alliteration introduction?
Dave does.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You would know that if you listen to the show.
Sorry, Dave.
So we'll start with your name and where you're from.
My name is Bethany McChesney. I am from Strathroy, Ontario, Canada. Small town. We're like 2 hours west of Toronto.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my Canadian geography is not up to snuff, I will admit.
Yeah.
So what is your background in athletics? Because I feel like I know a lot about you from listening to OFX, but yeah, tell me about your background.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing just about everything. I played hockey competitively. I played soccer competitively. I kind of jumped in anything that my parents would let me. I did gymnastics when I was little. I did diving for a little bit. I did field hockey in high school. And then when I was in high school is kind of when you had to decide what you wanted to focus on, and some of it kind of fell by default. So because I didn't grow past 5 feet. So the dream of playing college hockey was kind of out of the question for me. And I kind of fell in love with track, and that it was just everything was on me, and I didn't have to rely on, where other people putting in the work. And it was very much the work I put in directly came out. And so I did focus on track then. And then when I went to university, I ran collegiate cross country and track and field for the University of Western, and then eventually for the University of Windsor. So track and cross country were my background collegiately. And then I did move on and I raced competitively on the roads after university.
Yeah. So have you always been like just a competitive person? Like what drew you to these competitive sports?
Oh, yeah. I was always super competitive. Like I probably started running when I was like 5 years old. I have an older brother.
That'll do.
And I always wanted to be able to keep up with him. And which is why I started playing hockey, so that he would hang out with me. And I'm one of 4, but I always, kind of looked up to my brother. So that was probably why. And my parents definitely wanted to keep us busy in sports. So it was kind of like whatever I wanted to do, they'd say yes. And it was my thing. Like I found some things kind of came easy to me, and running was a good escape for me too, being in a house with a lot of kids. So I always ran. Even if I was focusing on hockey or soccer, I always ran. So yeah, I was definitely a super competitive kid.
Yeah. So you listed a lot of sports. One that I don't know if it has ever come on the show ever, diving. Obviously I know what that would be with Olympics, but like, what was it like doing that as a sport?
It was one of those sports where I think if someone had really encouraged me to stay in it, think I could have been pretty good at it because so I did gymnastics until I was about 11. And then it's kind of, again, one of those sports where you kind of have to go all in at some point, and it wasn't really. But then I was like, well, diving's kind of like gymnastics off a diving board. And so I was pretty good at it pretty quickly. But I just, honestly, I hated being wet and cold all the time.
Okay, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. And I did have a pretty serious injury pretty early once where I took my head off the side of a pool and it kind of freaked me out. And then I had a hard time doing anything backwards after that. And so I was like, oh, forget this sport. Like, I don't know. So there was just, I didn't do it for that long. It was maybe like a couple seasons and just kind of just something different. And yeah, it just wasn't really for me.
Yeah, that's a good reason to be scared. If I hit my head off the side of a pool, I don't think I would return either. But the interesting thing about like gymnastics and diving as sports is they're like really subjective too, where it's like you race, you run, first one to the finish line wins, clear cut and dry. Whereas gymnastics, it's like almost like beauty is in the eye of the beholder a little bit.
Yeah, and that was definitely something that I loved about running was just if you're the fastest, you're the fastest. And, instead of being the judging sports always felt weird, like kind of ick to me. And again, I'm an 80s baby. So I'm kind of in that era of where gymnasts had to look a certain way. And, I was a short, muscular kid and like, same with diving. And so and I also grew up in a town where figure skating was really big and a lot of my friends were figure skaters and there was always a look that you had to, and it just didn't sit well with me. So I was definitely drawn to running because it wasn't subjective.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do love that. And so eventually, how did you find obstacle course racing?
Yeah, so after my second kid was born, I had a lot of issues with running and my hip injury. So I started rock climbing as an outlet. And of course, my personality, I became obsessed with rock climbing and got kind of good at it. And then when I was able to run again and was kind of finding my stride, I stumbled on, so Faye Stenning and I used to race each other in the Canadian track scene, and I noticed that she was a pro Spartan athlete. So then I looked into what Spartan was, and then that year, 2017, was the year that the World Championships was in Collingwood, Ontario. So then I was like, well, I think I'd be kind of good at this sport because it's kind of combining running and grip stuff, which now I felt proficient in because of rock climbing. So I signed up for my first race and I won. So then I was like, well, I guess I'm going to a world championship in this sport that I don't know much about. Yeah. And that year, the world championships was like my third race ever.
Wow.
And I mean, if you remember, like 2017 obstacle course racing, it was kind of like when it was at its best.
Yes.
And that, with mandatory obstacle completion being the thing at OCR, WC, it completely rocked my world. And of course, I didn't finish with my band and was super defeated. But at the same time, it was something that really, really challenged me. And I overall enjoyed the experience and having kind of a way that I could keep like running, but then like keep the strength that I had found that was different, where like you could kind of put your energy into other places besides just running. And yeah, I fell in love with it. And because I dealt with so many running injuries throughout my competitive years, it was a way that I could run, but there was more of a focus than just running. And being strong was also important, and not just being as small as possible. Because again, I said, like, I'm an 80s baby, and the era of running I grew up in was completely smaller is better, smaller is faster. And I always struggled with that. And yeah, so then it was like that didn't really matter anymore in obstacle course racing. So yeah, I threw myself into it in 2017.
Yeah, it's one of the ultimate sports of like constantly working on your weaknesses, and like running is just one component, an important component that some people neglect, but like that's how you get to the next obstacle. But grip strength and body awareness and this and that, I'm sure like gymnastics forever, how long you did that too, also played a role in like body awareness for like the rigs and everything too. And I think hybrid racing, which we'll get to in a little bit too, also is really good with that too. Is like you can really dial down and see like I could get better on this, I can get better on that, and just the need to specify and everything. But going back to like having to see like, you know, this is the size of the person to do that, this is the size to do that. It never really came to OCR, and I'm happy about that. Do you think that's something that's ever going to come to like hybrid racing in the future?
Like the ideal body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think it is kind of there. I think there's still within the male and the female races, there is a bit of an ideal situation. You know, it's no secret that if for someone that's taller, you have more efficiency on ergs, right. And being super small makes it harder to move the sleds. So I do think you're either coming from you're a runner who's really strong, or you're, you know, more of a like CrossFit type who like to run, and it kind of morphs into a still a ideal body in a sense. There's not, we have our outliers, but I find if someone's really thin, they're typically tall.
Gotcha.
Or if shorter and stocky, then they probably have a strong running background.
Gotcha. Okay. And going back to OCR too, what was it like being picked for the Canadian Spartan Pro team? I believe that was 2019.
Yeah, and that became my goal when I started it. So I had someone that, I don't know if you know Cynthia Caponero from Canada.
I don't.
So when I started OCR, she kind of took me under her wing, and she was like, look, if you stick with this, you'll be really good at the sport. I know it's very defeating at the beginning. And she was on the Spartan Pro team, and she was older, probably in her 40s at the time. And she had kids, she was a mom, and she mentored me a fair bit at the beginning. And at that point, I was like, I want to be on the Spartan Pro team. And again, this was at a time too where, you know, they made money and they had sponsorship opportunities and they had podium bonuses, and we don't race for the money.
Right.
We really don't, but it does help because we do give up a lot to put in that amount of training, and it costs money to go to races. And I knew I was capable, that was within my reach. So I did make that a goal of mine. And 2019, I did get named to the Spartan Pro team. But then 2020 was when everything shut down. So I never really, you know, nothing really came of it at that point. But regardless, I worked really hard to get there. And I am pretty proud of the athlete that I became throughout that process. I mean, it's kind of too bad because I felt like some of my fittest years were COVID.
Right.
That kind of came on the back end of that. But yeah, it's pretty cool, you know, thinking my best years of athletics were potentially behind me, to find something in my 30s where, you know, I could be kind of good at this thing. It was exciting for me, and it kind of rejuvenated my love for being a competitive athlete again.
Right. And then all that being said, like, what was it like when there was the transition of COVID that kind of took over everything? No more events, stay inside. Also, like, how was COVID treated in Canada too, for like the fitness community?
I don't think it was too different than the US. It was, I mean, it was really hard for me because I'm a gym owner, and I do feel like the fitness industry was hit especially hard. And I had just opened my facility. I had moved out of my studio, and I opened my facility 9 months before lockdowns. So at the point where you've kind of put a lot into something and you haven't really established yet, and then we get locked down. So it was really hard for me. From that perspective. And again, as a small business owner where my business is based on having groups of people together, I couldn't do right by everybody. And, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And yeah, it was hard. And I had 2 kids and, having to keep them with online schooling and stuff, it was hard. So, yeah, there was a lot of times when I thought I would close my gym down during COVID and go back to, I'm a teacher, and just go back to teaching. But my clients would not let me. So we kind of kept plugging away, and I'd put my energy into training still, and I did all the virtual comps and stuff to kind of, keep focused on something. But man, it feels like a lifetime ago we've been talking about that. But
there's a certain part of the podcast where I realized, oh my God, we've been doing this longer post-pandemic than we did pre-pandemic, and that just kind of really messed with me mentally.
Yeah, Dave and I started during the pandemic. I think
so.
We were during,
yeah,
like 2021, I think we started.
Yeah. So I know that was like a huge impact to like the athletes that want to compete. And then also like, again, as a gym owner, that must have been really difficult. And it was really hard some people thought it was harder than it actually was to like continue to have a podcast. I'm like, there's still events, there's the virtual events, there's like these gyms that are struggling. There's lots of athletes out there. So I still didn't find a shortage of people to talk to, but yeah, it must have been really difficult to like keep things up financially and everything too.
Oh yeah.
And then what was the transition from OCR to hybrid racing? Like, what was the timeline of that?
Yeah. So Hyrox and DECA kind of birthed themselves during the pandemic. And I found though that because a lot of the virtual comps were gym things, and I owned a gym, it made it easy to kind of jump into those things. And so then wanting to actually do the races became a natural progression for me. And I did pretty well in some of the virtual comps. The thing that I liked about the idea of DECA and Hyrox was that the running was flat. So I live in a small town where there's no hills. So when I race OCR, my biggest weakness by far, which there wasn't really much of a workaround, is that I don't have mountains to train on. Okay. So I do the best I could with what I had, so then when, DECA and Hyrox, which when they first started, Hyrox and DECA were pretty similar as far as, numbers and stuff, and they would be at the same venues. And, I was like, well, it does kind of suit me better in a way because it's like racing track with the fitness stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'd probably do okay at this. So I did my first Hyrox in 2020. 2020, January 2020.
Okay.
Before lockdowns in Chicago. It was like the 4th one in North America. And I grossly underestimated the sleds, which were different back then. They were. If anyone raced some of those early Hyrox, the sleds were way more destructive than they are now. And it was a 25-meter stretch for the pull, which is very different when it comes to that rope situation. The sled pull took me longer than it would have taken me if I skipped it and took a penalty. So it was interesting back then. And yeah, when I finished my first Hyrox, I was like, well, that's not for me. I'm never going to do that again. Which we know as the type of people we are, then, you sit on it for 24, 48 hours and then you're like, yeah, I have to do that again.
Yeah. Sounds like most people after Killington.
Yeah. Similar. Yeah. And then, DECA was probably more suited to me just with not having as destructive of weights to it. So yeah. And I kind of went, and we kind of know the way Spartan went after that too. And, contracts and money not being fulfilled. And so I did kind of throw myself into the DECA and Hyrox stuff after that. And there was, at that point, it felt like there was more opportunity to race.
Yeah.
Then. And, and I kind of enjoyed the flat, fast running, which I missed. And again, because I come from the track, like I love things like hitting splits.
Yeah.
And you miss that with OCR where it's just, running is running. And, Yeah, so and you know, each station has its own splits and like all the numbers of it. So I did enjoy that, and the team aspect of it was really fun. So like I
Yeah.
fell in love with teams too, and like met a lot of really cool people too. That it was kind of different. Like Lauren Weeks, her first race was my first race too in Chicago
Oh, cool.
that year. We kind of didn't know what we were doing, and I was like, oh man, this CrossFitter's really fast for a CrossFitter. And we kind of had a back and forth for a little bit. And yeah, man, it was so different back then. It was so different. It was smaller, right? There was probably 500 at that first event in Chicago. So it kind of had the same feel as a lot of the decos do now. But yeah, I really, you know, I loved the hybrid scene back then too.
Yeah. I definitely saw this coming back during COVID, where like I saw a lot of athletes leaving because the OCR world was starting to take a little bit of a dip, and then COVID kind of really ruined it. But a lot of athletes that wanted to focus on adventure but split away from OCR went to like trail running, ultra running, and then those that really wanted to dial in on like the metrics and stuff went to hybrid racing. And it's really blown up over the years. Almost too much so. You look at High Rocks and it's like they're overbooking and ruining the quality of the event for some people, but it's like a victim of their own success, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So you missed running around in circles. You're back to running around in circles on the track. How do you see this like continuing to grow? Do you think it's going to like flatline or like plateau soon, or where do you see like the world of hybrid racing going?
I think with the massive success of High Rocks and also it being so hard to get into High Rocks events, I see a lot of these smaller spin-off organizations and companies starting their own thing, and that kind of being the way that this goes from now. So if High Rocks is kind of like the grandmother big ship of it all, then we're going to have these spin-offs like we saw with the LT games, which was super successful.
Yeah.
And people, you know, raved about it, but it had that small group feel that we miss now with High Rocks just being so big. And I see this happening a lot more. And I think people want that too, because we don't have that many opportunities to race High Rocks in North America like they do in the UK. And I mean, for me, I couldn't even get into the Toronto High Rocks, which is, you know, down the street for me last year, which was pretty disheartening.
Right.
And it did again kind of shift my focus. So and we have a cool series in Ontario called RX1, which has been around longer than High Rocks itself too. And if they would come a little bit more into Ontario too, I think it'd be super successful. It's already wildly successful in Quebec, but I think it will spawn these other smaller events that kind of gets people still racing the hybrid style, because I think it's so great for your general population to do this type of, you know, and the people that might have been intimidated by OCR and the mountain stuff. And I mean, OCR is also was not easily accessible.
No.
Like they were out in the middle of nowhere, and these these hybrid races can be like in cities and stuff, which is easier for people to get to.
Absolutely. I think what excites me about hybrid racing, and I've never taken on a High Rocks, it still scares the hell out of me. I've taken on like DECA events at Underdog Fitness. I'll drive like 2.5 hours to go to them because I love and support that community. But the team races, as you touched on earlier, that is amazing. There's nothing better than like racing with your significant other or racing with like a really good friend and like holding each other accountable and like working on each other's weaknesses. It's the best. But also like this influx, and I think you're exactly right. There's going to be more and more of these like mom and pop hybrid racing, and that excites me too. That's what I love most about OCR, and there's not as much around, admittedly, but like those local events, it's just exciting because High Rocks is High Rocks is High Rocks. Like you go to one, and while the layout will be different, the stations are always the same, and that can be a little monotonous to some people. Some people, that's exactly what they're looking for. But to be able to have these other events, I think is going to help High Rocks stay relevant. Of, you know, I can go back and compare my time here, but I can also have fun doing these things that may or may not change. So I'm excited to see what the future of hybrid racing goes. My heart is still very much with OCR, and I know that hybrid has detracted from OCR, but I'm still rooting for it.
I would say I am too. There's a big part of me that misses OCR, and I reminisce about, the way it used to be. And again, it got me outside of my running only bubble and, seeing the bigger world of racing. And I do miss it as well. And being in the mountains and hitting summits and, the disgusting sandbag carries and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I probably I feel the same way.
Yeah. And so transitioning to your gym itself, how long have you been the owner of Fitfarm Strathroy? So what's the place called again?
Yeah, it's Fitfarm.
Okay.
I'm in Strathroy.
Strathroy.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said it was like just around the time of the pandemic, probably tumultuous at first. How has it like evolved and changed to like fit the needs of your clients over the years?
Yeah, so I actually started Fitfarm 12 years ago when my daughter was 10 weeks old, and I started with mom and baby programs during my mat leave. And so I've always been a little bit of a trainer. So I have a kinesiology background, and I've always had my foot in coaching or training to some degree. So when I was on mat leave, I started working with moms and babies. Some of it too was also to meet people, because I moved back to Strathroy after being gone for 10 years. And then when it was kind of time for people to go back to work, they wanted me to keep training them at night. So it was never my plan to be a gym owner. And then I would start training these groups at night, and it kind of snowballed and just became its own thing. And I didn't go back to full-time teaching. I supply taught and did my training. And I did both of those things together for about 5 or 6 years. And then the training stuff just got to be so big that it didn't make sense for me to not open in a proper facility. So I did that after about 6 years. So the last 6 years have been in a proper facility. And yeah, obviously we were super successful initially the first 9 months and then lockdowns, and it's been a really slow build since. The fitness industry is really interesting, and there's ebbs and flows constantly. It's not something that you can go into if you need stability and consistency.
Yeah.
And we ride waves constantly, and trends change. And I found after COVID, it was really hard. It was actually harder after lockdowns than during lockdowns to get people. Yeah, people were still really supportive, and that they would continue to, they'd pay into their memberships and stuff during, but as soon as it was over, it was like they felt like I didn't need help anymore. And then a lot of people, because they had opened their home, like they'd bought stuff for home and stuff, they were like, it didn't necessarily come back. So the year after COVID was actually probably the hardest year after lockdowns, and we were open, and people or they had let themselves go and like couldn't come back to the gym. And we're a group training facility, so and we do not like pretty challenging workouts, and it'd be a lot of people that are training for high rocks and stuff, so a lot of people just weren't ready to come back to that. And there was a while too where I thought people might never want to do hard things again. People got soft during COVID,
right?
But we kind of stayed true to what I believed in and what we had started out as a gym. And I feel like we're back now to where, we have people that are over the last year, they want to do hard things. And we have groups that are signing up for ultras and high rocks and like really challenging themselves. But I mean, it took a while. It took a year. I still have people coming back now who have only just come back since COVID.
Wow.
And admit have they let themselves go and just had such a hard time coming back. So things do take a while. And I really had to stick it out and just believe in what I was doing.
Right.
And thankfully, I think I would say I do what I do genuinely because I love it and because I believe in what the community at my gym does for people and the way it truly can change people's lives by doing, hard training and training for things and having, good quality programming. And I do believe in what I do enough that I was willing to kind of stick it out throughout all of the mess of everything. So yeah, we're strong now, and we expanded a year ago.
Oh, cool.
And I have a lot more people now there that have kind of helped build the program. And yeah, we're in an exciting place right now, I'd say.
Do you think there's any element of like the teacher in you that helped transition over to being a good coach and being someone that wants to help like the general population like this?
Yeah, for sure it did. I found with teaching, it was hard because, well, I mean, I do work with kids now too. We have a really thriving youth program. I like working with kids who come to me by choice for the most part, because they want to be there instead of, I mean, in the classroom, it's different where there's a lot of unmotivated and people that don't want to be there and don't want to see themselves improve and don't want help and, a lot going on. And I struggled with our current education system, ultimately was one of the reasons that I left. But I felt like this way I could work with people who wanted to be better people. And even as little people, but they because it all starts then too with them. And this is how we can teach them that, being uncomfortable is good. And, striving to be okay, you want to be a better hockey player, but the process of trying to be better at anything ultimately teaches you that there's value in that, which will help them down the road. And, when I was teaching, I had the same philosophies of wanting people to want better for themselves, but it's really hard when you might have a class where that's not happening. And I found it really discouraging. So I feel like I have impact now that I maybe didn't have the same, because now I have people who are willing to put in the work. So, and even I work a lot with moms, and I know the more that I can help moms improve their own self-confidence and, their ability to handle difficult things and help them deal with stress, and helps them also go back and be better moms. So I feel like my impact is different now, and I'm not handcuffed by the politics of the education system.
Yes. So I don't know if you know this, but my wife is a special ed teacher, 3rd grade, in a not so great city. Very, very lots of gangs and stuff that's going on in that area. So yeah, I can definitely imagine that being in a situation where it's opt in instead of like opt out, I think definitely makes you feel like you have a better, the people want to be there. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've worked at a broad range of places, and my last teaching job was in an area where it was definitely underprivileged, and it was hard, rewarding in a different way. Right. And I taught in Dubai, which was ultra wealthy and very different there too. And I taught in a private school my first year. So I've seen like the whole gamut. And yeah, I learned a lot in the couple of years, the 6-7 years that I was teaching. But yeah, it's not an easy profession.
Yeah, and all the politics around teaching, especially here in the U.S., are only getting worse too. So there is that, and I totally understand the teachers that are burnt out and need another way to help people. I get it.
Yeah.
And then another aspect of your gym, because like you talked about how you weren't able to get into the High Rocks that's nearby, also important. Like a lot of your athletes, a lot of your gym members also probably couldn't go in there too. So that's something that's going to be difficult, where like you're training for a goal and then like the goal is kind of like ripped away. What's that process like as a gym owner?
Yeah, the first year the Toronto High Rocks was here, we had like 30 athletes go, awesome. which was really awesome. And we all were kind of training together, and it kept a lot of people really motivated. Even people that weren't going were just really motivated by, the fitness gains they were seeing within people in the community. And it was really cool having that singular goal that a third of the gym was training for. And then everyone was setting goals. Next time it comes to Toronto, I'm going to focus more on this. And then all of a sudden tickets came out and nobody got a ticket. And except for a couple open now. So open men could get tickets. Nobody else. Not a single female solo ticket could be had anywhere. So everyone was like, okay, well, guess I'm not doing that now. And then people kind of became like, they felt like lost. Yeah. So which was when I decided to do the ultra, because again, it was something that was new and it challenged people in a different way. And again, I gave people something to get excited about, but it was really deflating when nobody could get in. And it was kind of the first time that, the Toronto High Rocks specifically, I think was a big mess up for High Rocks in the way that they did it with all of their pre-sale links. And it was, I don't know if it hasn't really gotten better necessarily since. And so a lot of my athletes had to shift their focus, and we gave them something else that was still fun and challenging with the ultra. And that was kind of what I felt like I had to do. So and even myself, I was like, well, I'm not going to keep training for something that I can't even get into races for. Like I put a lot of time into training, and I'm not going to put all that time into something when I can't even race. So yeah, we kind of shifted. And the ultra stuff, so we held we called it the Little Loop Ultra. Yep. Which this is also another type of race that I feel is kind of taken off. And because again, it is still entry level friendly, because it was a 2.5K loop, as many loops as you can do in 6 hours. So if you've never done an ultra before, there's no expectation of you to run 50K. You just do what you can do. So it was such a good experience for the community, and we got a lot of community involvement outside of just the gym. And yeah, we just we pivoted, I guess. I hate that word because it was so during COVID. But we had such a good, we had a really good day with it. And just an overall really good experience. And we had a bunch of people that fell in love with running again, or now they're signing up for another 50K. We have people that decided that 80K was their next goal, and kind of sparked something in people. But that was kind of what we had to do, I guess, as a community. And even personally, I kind of had to do that too. So
yeah, I love ultra running, especially ultra trail running. And the multi-lap format is my favorite too. We have a Race by Us Fit Challenge. Their OCR was very big, and that's kind of gone away and it's come back, but they've had trail races. And I love their multi-lap events. They have ultras where it's like, all right, here's the 8-hour, 12-hour, and they have a 30-hour for the real sadists out there. And I love it because you're right, there is no barrier for entry. Like you can walk it, you can run it, you can crawl it. At times I wanted to crawl. And it's really nice too, because how long did you say that each loop was again?
2.5K. Yeah.
So perfect for you're able to get anything that you need to, like, you don't have to carry nutrition with you, which is a huge barrier for entry of like, that could be really intimidating, especially for like a Spartan Ultra. Like, what do I put in my drop bin? What do I have to carry with me? And also important to,
it's super stressful.
It is, it really is. And then not only to mention, like, this isn't a last man standing event, which is also growing in popularity too, where like it's very similar, but like you need to be fast. Like there is no real time restraint other than the overall time restraint. So how did your community kind of respond to that?
We had a lot of, so we reached out to businesses, and so we really tried to push. We had a team relay, 3 people. You relayed however you wanted. So if you had people where you could come out and do 10K, your friend does 10K, someone else does, it didn't matter. You didn't have to switch off every lap. So we reached out to communities or like businesses in town and stuff, or like, our senior A hockey team and our junior B hockey team, and like put together a team, and 3 people show up. Like we'll have a bit of like a like corporate challenge type thing, and people did respond pretty well to it. And we had a lot of like our prizes were really good. And probably the best swag bag I've ever seen at a race. And because again, it was just we're a small town, and so a lot of businesses were like, yeah, that's awesome. I'll give this. And so that the businesses kind of rallied around it, but the team race of it, the team relay ended up definitely being the most exciting part of the ultra. And we had a couple high school cross country kids that came out and were just like smashing like 9 minute, 2.5K loops. And we had the fire station come out, and it was a end of June heat wave, and they were like hosing people down for 2 hours. It was just such a cool, it was way better than I ever could have imagined it to be, just with the way everybody in the community kind of rallied around it. So, yeah, I mean, everyone when it was done was like, when's next year? So
good.
This year, yeah, it was really awesome. With this year, we're going to do it at a golf course in town, which is a really historic golf course. And it's a bit rustic. Like, it's not one of these super clean, pretty golf courses. It's rustic, very rolling hills. And same thing, like the owner of the golf course was like, yes, whatever you need, like community events, was all about it. So it's, and the course has like bonfire stations and stuff, which is kind of gonna make the home base really neat. And yeah, we're really stoked about it this year. We're moving it to April to get ahead of a heat wave. And yeah, it's really neat the way the community kind of rallied around it. So
yeah. And the community features people of all ages too. So I saw that there was also a youth race, and I think I saw there was a toddler.
Yeah, so we did a toddler 200-meter, which was so funny.
I bet.
Like 25 kids, and half of them are crying, and the moms are coaxing them. And then there's like the ultra serious toddler who's like, they have their arm sleeves and like their compression socks. And
that's great.
And then, and so this year I'm really excited about, we have a master's category. So my mom runs a master's program at my gym, and it's really been booming. And average age, I would say, is 65 to 70. So they really wanted to do it this year. None of them are even close to being runners, but they wanted to walk in pairs. So it's a 6-person relay, so you can walk or run in pairs. And you have to be 60 plus, which I know there are people who, I mean, I'm thinking of John Loney. So he could go out, and obviously he's a very good runner at 60 plus, and John Cross. But we have a master's category where you can have up to 6 people on your team, but each person still counts as what. So if 2 people walk together and if they walk 2.5K, it counts as 5.
Okay.
So everybody's distance counts, which I think will make it really interesting in the team category. So I'm excited about that one, because our master's program in town is really thriving. So it was a way to get them involved too. And yeah, we have a youth race that's 1 loop of the 2.5K.
That's great. Yeah, my intention when I was in college for work was I wanted to like work with the elderly, because I see them as a part of the population that's kind of like, all right, you're old now. Go in this little home, live there, bye. And that sucks. That's not how I'd want the end of my life to be. It's not how I'd want the end of my grandparents' life to be, or anyone. So I'm really glad to hear that like they're involved in this too. And go out in nature. Like, there is really no age range that this isn't good for. You can walk, you can run it. I think that's fantastic. I also saw that, where is it? Proceeds are going to a youth center in town too. So again, really paying it forward to the community.
Yeah, so we have it's like a drop-in center, where there's always free coffee and soup, but it's for anyone between the ages of 18 and 23. We have I mean, I know it's like this everywhere, but a unfortunately growing population of homeless youth. And so this center helps them, and there is an emergency shelter there. And I know the person personally who opened it. It's called 37 Frank Street. So a portion of the proceeds that we make from this race goes towards them. So it's this man, he quit his job to do this. He has a big heart for it and helping the community. So we are giving back to them.
That's awesome. That's glad to hear. I'm sure he took this job because he wanted to get rich off of it. That's why everyone goes into to helping people, right? No, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. And then in addition to coaching your clients, you're also a mom of two, which is like a permanent coaching job in itself.
It is.
I know that it was sometime last year you took on, I think it was an adventure race with your son.
Yeah.
So talk about that experience a little bit too. Like, how cool is it to be able to do, while adventure racing isn't exactly like your main focus, like how cool is it to like fitness related things with your kids?
My son has become quite the little athlete. So he's he's a good runner, but he hates track. And although he's good at it, but he's like, man, it hurts so bad. Everyone's watching you. Like, he's like, get me out in the trails all day. And he mountain bikes. So I was like, well, you need to do something. And we're going to do something together. So I found this adventure race where it's a paddle. So, you canoe, because it's tandem canoe, mountain bike, and run. And he's a far better mountain biker than I am. So it was 4K paddle, 25K bike, 6K run. So manageable distances. And we totally sucked on the paddle. I mean, we don't have a canoe. We just went for it. But yeah, the whole paddle though, he was like, I can't believe we're in a race. This is so beautiful. And we came out like last, but then we get in the mountain bikes and it was on the Bruce Trail. Like, it was kind of technical, and I had to murder myself to keep up to him. And it was so funny because you have to be within 10 meters or whatever of your partner. And I'm just like hitting rocks and like going off jumps and like stuff I would never do in real life. I always joke that stuff I do in a race is like, I would never do this in real life, but I'm like, I can't let him get away from me. And so I'm just bombing these technical trails like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And you're trying to get by people. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep up to my son. And people started cheering like, go mom, you got it. And I'm just dying. Like, I'm almost puking like for 25 kilometers trying to keep up to him. And he's just having the time of his life. And then we get to the run and he puts on his hydration vest and then he's like, you're going to punish me now, aren't you? I'm like, yes, I am. Let's go. And I'm like, no slower than a 5-minute K. And he's like, oh my God, mom. But yeah, he kept up fine, but he was hurting pretty bad during the run. And again, it's technical trails and but yeah, we won like as the youth adult division. So we had a really good time. But yeah, he was all in for it this year too. So I was pretty excited about it. But it's just such a unique thing for like a mom and son to be able to do. And again, his strengths are very different than mine. And as soon as we finish, he's like, okay, next year we've got to get out and we got to learn how to paddle. Yeah. He's like, and you have to work on your mountain biking. I'm like, okay.
That's amazing. When I heard you talk about the fact that you were doing that with your son, I'm like, I'm not a parent, but like that is parenting goals right there. Like to be able to share that experience. That's so cool. And mountain biking, for those that have like seen videos but haven't actually done it, I have a bike. I take it on the trails. I might as well have, training wheels out there. It is scary. Like I hit a root and I'm like, oh no, let me it's scary. It's scary. It's sometimes like, oh, just go fast and then you'll be fine. I can't do that.
Terrifying.
Oh, it's
yeah.
You don't have that control. People have like all this trust in their bike, which like, okay, you spend a lot of money and all that, but like when you're running, you're in full control of your body. But like on the bike, it's I don't know. There's a lot of variables that scare me out there.
Going fast, and trees are flying by, and you're like, if I fall, my head is going into this tree. Like it could be very bad.
Right.
I really enjoy mountain biking, and like, I invested it. I have a decent bike, but the lack of fear in a 14-year-old boy is very different. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, I was like, I just don't want to disappoint my son. And I was just bombing it. So yeah, it was pretty fun though. It was so cute, the people later that were like, you crushing it, mom. Like, yes.
Hell yeah. That's great. And of course, I heard this story and some many other stories because you've been podcasting with Dave with the OFX podcast. How did Dave persuade you into, forcing you to talk to him on a weekly basis?
Right, for 5 years.
I know, that's a long time.
So Dave and I met again during COVID. There was a virtual competition where they were, oh, what was the name of it? It was a podcast that he did with Tom Peterson, like Canadian obstacle course racing something. Okay. And they were having people on the Spartan Pro team in Canada race each other virtually.
Right.
So I raced Ariel, Fitzgerald, and Sylvie virtually. And so that's how I met Dave, because he was the commentator for the virtual thing. And then we went to do a race in Montreal that had not been shut down, I guess, during COVID. And then we were having beers around the fire and we just really hit it off. And, like with Dave, like friendly banter and, I'm mildly educated in all things athletics and I have a background and stuff. And he was like, hey, it'd be really fun if you and I did a podcast. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then a couple of months later, he's like, so we're going to start this podcast now. And I was like, oh, I did agree to that, didn't I?
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then, we started the January, like we had a recap of the previous year was our first podcast together. And to be honest, I never thought I would do it was never in my, goals in life to do podcasting.
Right.
But again, it was COVID and, there was not a lot going on. And the original name of our podcast, again, because our relationship started drinking beer around a bonfire, was going to be Beers with Bethany, because I guess I had a lot to say that night.
Right. And Dave loves his alliteration, so.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of started without really planning it too. The nicknames for me with every episode. So yeah. And then it just kind of, I think we got more out of it, I think, than we necessarily expected to. And we met some really cool people really quickly. And again, because we started when High Rocks was just starting, we had a lot of really cool people come on, like Mintra and Eat Rock, and like right off the hop. And it gave us some really interesting opportunities when we started too, that were like stuff that we didn't really anticipate, because we were just like, oh, we'll get together and kind of shoot the shit. And it just kind of grew from there. And then it kind of just becomes part of your schedule, and then you just keep doing it. And it wasn't even really, and sometimes even now people are like, you do a podcast? I'm like, I've podcasted for 5 years.
Right.
Like, it's kind of easy to even think about. But yeah, I would definitely say I've gotten way more out of doing it than I ever really thought I would. And sometimes when things are busy, it's time. But yeah, I've talked to Dave more in 5 years than I have many people in my life, which is kind of funny.
Right. Yeah. Speaking to like how like it's a permanent fixture in your schedule, it's been over 9 years since I've had like a Sunday night where I'm not doing like the podcast or something. Like, it's wild how doing it for a super long time. And Dave has been like, he was a longtime supporter very early on of like the show. So I appreciated that. I'm like, oh, he's starting a podcast. And he may not believe it because I've forgotten some things that he said in early episodes, like wanting me to compete in this event. But like, I've listened to every episode of the show, and I'm not really the High Rocks hybrid guy, but I like listening to you guys so much. And you talk about the Canadian OCR and this and that. And it's, you guys have done really good job with the show and stayed so consistent, because you want to talk about ultra endurance event. Podcasting is definitely one of those, right?
Yeah. And you definitely can't go into it expecting to profit.
Nope.
And you have to do it. And we always said from the very beginning, and we remind ourselves of this all the time, we're doing this for fun at the end of the day.
Right.
And because we enjoy it, and we like to bring attention to Canadian athletes or what's going on in Canada. And, it's for fun. And if it ever became anything but, then we would quit. And, 5 years later, we still enjoy it regardless of anything else. And, we don't do it for money and we don't profit from it, but we've always just kind of kept a good headspace about it, I guess. And yeah, we've always said if it stops being fun, then we'll stop. So
what about
5 years later.
What about all those non-alcoholic beer sponsors you guys are getting?
Oh yeah, I know. I have so much athletic brewing in my basement.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and starting to come to a close a little bit, what do you have planned for the 2026 season, both as a gym owner, but also as an athlete?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, we're the Little Loop Ultra is the big focus for the spring. I do want to do a couple little gym events as well. Again, like my own little hybrid style racing within the gym community to give people something to train for. Myself personally, again, I'd kind of mentioned it's been really hard to focus on high rocks, with being it really difficult to get into events. And when I couldn't get into Toronto last year, I, on a whim, signed up for a 50K trail race because I'm like, I just miss being in the trails and being, outdoors more. And I found training for high rocks so much time trying to build strength to be just strong enough to kind of handle women's pro. And so I really missed focusing on running. So this year is more about I've signed up for 350Ks. I really enjoyed the distance, and I'm going to do the Canadian 50K Trail Championships.
Oh, cool.
In Quebec, which it's a race that scares me. It's a very gnarly course in the Quebec mountains, and I just wanted something where I could kind of throw myself into running again. So those 3 races are kind of the staples. I am doing the Ottawa High Rocks. There's other things. I'm doing the adventure race again with my son. There's other things sprinkled in there. I'm doing a night relay thing and with a team of 6 women, but the trail ultra is kind of going to be my focus. I've never focused on this before. So yeah, we're going to kind of throw our hat into the ultra trail running scene a little bit. I don't know. I mean, at my core, I'm a runner. I love running, and I missed it a little bit having to do so much work, erg stuff, and the gym stuff to be able to compete in high rocks. So we're going to kind of see what happens here with this. And at the end of the day, I race because I love it. And whatever kind of brings me joy right now is where I kind of like to put my energy.
Yeah. And then where can people follow you on social media, learn more about your gym and your events?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Bethany McChesney, so MCCHES. My gym is Fitfarm Strathroy. The Instagram would be the same, and it's fitfarmstrathroy.com. So our race is called the Little Loop Ultra. And yeah, it's April 18th. It's on a Saturday. It's going to be a ton of fun. So if you can make it, you will not regret it.
Awesome. And I have to say, I spent some time on your website too, and I was looking through your classes. And not only do you offer a really good variety of classes, but I also like how clear cut your schedule is. It shows, it's very clear of what your offerings are. And I just definitely want to highlight how well put together that part of the website was.
Oh, thank you. That's funny. I just had a conversation today about how I felt like I needed to fix my website. So I appreciate that.
Well, that part looked good. I thought it looked good. And then
I have a co-op coming, and so I was like, high school kids are probably so good at this stuff.
That's probably a good point. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
And then any sponsors or people that you'd like to thank?
Oh, I don't have sponsors.
Fair. Awesome. Well, Bethany, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. This has been long overdue, and hope your event is a massive, massive success.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Bethany McChesney. Be sure to follow her on social media, check out her gym and ultra event, and listen to OFX if you're interested in Canadian OCR or hybrid racing. More likely going to be the latter of those two, but they do touch on both, which I appreciate.
Related episodes, episode 233.
Yeah, so I almost forgot we had them both on So Obstacle Fitness X podcast with Dave Claxton and Bethany McChesney, but that was way back in 2021. So this was overdue to touch base with her again.
Listening to you call it Obstacle Fitness X, I'm like, wait, whose podcast is that?
Oh, yeah, because the OFX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We're Obstacle Running Adventures and all of the podcast players. And if you like what you heard, give us a subscribe and follow us on your favorite player.
Yeah. You can support us over on Patreon for as little as $2 or as many as $10. It's a great way to help us afford to go to the places that we want to go. Like a bomb I'm going to drop on Caitlin at the end of this, which will be in post-credits.
Oh, no.
Coming up next, I'm not too sure. I'm not running out of ideas completely, but the winter can be kind of tough, and I've already going through all the things that I was looking forward to. So I'll have to keep an eye out and see what interests me in the future weeks. Caitlin, got a joke or a quote?
Yeah, my quote is, never forget how brave it is to continue to show up in a story that looks so different than what you thought it would be. And then my joke is just for you, Mikey.
Oh boy.
What kind of dough does a gamer use?
Nintendo.
Did you see the answer?
No.
Have you heard that before?
No, I just got it really quickly. That's a good one. I like that. Well, you said it was specifically for me, so that kind of helped a little bit too. That's the whole thing. All right, well, that just wraps it up. My name's Michael Stefano.
My name's Caitlin Ritter.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms
so you don't miss our future episodes.
We would greatly appreciate it if you write a review.
Reach out with feedback on social media.
And most importantly, share the show
With a friend or family member.
Our intro song was Streaker by Straight Up.
And our outro music is Iron Paul by The Best.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, we can end it there. Yeah, I heard this event and I'm like, this is definitely something I'd love to do. I haven't talked to Caitlin about it. She's never gone to Canada before, and she's always wanted to go to Canada.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, they're just right there. We're in Massachusetts, so we're not super southern or anything. It's and the places we've gone in Maine. Yeah, we've almost accidentally gone to Canada before, so we're up there.
What?
So I was talking to Bethany after the interview about how you've never gone to Canada before.
Right.
And how you should be training for World's Toughest Mudder.
Yeah.
I meant this would be a pretty cool.
I am training for World's Toughest Mudder.
If we wanted to go up to Ontario because you've never gone to Canada.
It says join the Fitfarm Little Loop Ultra, a 6-hour team challenge set in the beautiful.
Well, yeah, this is just a description of the race.
Complete as many laps as possible of the 2.5 km loop in 6 hours. Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Where is Ontario?
In Canada.
Well, I know that, but what state is it?
That's the thing.
Near.
Ontario is the. Oh, you mean what U.S. state?
Yeah.
I should know that. Canadian map. Because I know where Montreal is.
Were you looking at hotels to go with it?
No, there's some other stuff. Actually, one of the mystery rides popped up too. So Ontario there's Quebec, of course.
Would we fly, drive?
Pretty for sure it's a flying situation.
Oh, okay.
So Ontario is this one.
It's going to be cold.
All of Canada's cold. Well, in comparison. Yeah. They also moved it earlier because of the heat wave.
The heat wave?
I guess it was during a heat wave last time. Which I'm sure their heat wave is a little bit different. I should be more specific because each of their states is
I don't think they're called states.
The provinces?
Yeah. No, I wanted to know. So it's by Wisconsin.
I can never. Strathroy?
That could be fun. I just don't have any days off for work. That's the problem.
That's a tricky thing, yeah. Well, we'll look into it.